I am Ray, and you will wish you have seen this sooner, because this is life or death we're talking about. Maybe. We'll see. Have you ever noticed that we're always so busy trying to change? Like Obama, or like that homeless person outside of your home. There's always change. But how many people do you know are not trying to change? It's like there's always something wrong in our life that needs to be removed. Or something that we need that we don't have, that we want. So there's never satisfaction. This is the crazy thing about it, because we're so stuck in our heads trying to change life that we never think about just slowing down for 5 seconds and just seeing the perfection that is already here. But it is because we assume that life is not perfect and that things are going wrong that we feel like, well, I gotta change this, I gotta change that, there's another long list over here that I gotta change. And that is the cause of all of our suffering. It is not the circumstances itself that causes suffering, it's the desire to change them that causes suffering. Which is an interesting thing because, well, it shows that you have the power to change the way you look at things. And once you do that, the things you look at change. So it's not the same circumstances anymore. That's the crazy thing about it. Your circumstances can change in real time simply by changing the way you look at them. Which is the secret to actually changing your life. Because you can go out into the world and muck about and try to change the world. And then maybe once the world starts reflecting back to you what you want, then you can be happy. But the chances of that happening is very slim. Slim Jim. Jimbo. Why is this? Because there's too many variables. Just look at your life. Look at your external circumstances and the things that are happening all around you. Billions and billions of variables coming together to make this. So how are you going to manage all those pieces? How are you going to make sure every one of those pieces is perfect so that you can finally rest and relax and be happy? It's never going to happen. But the thing is, that's kind of the point. We get addicted to this chaos. We get addicted to the improvement and wanting to change and needing to change because there's a little dopamine hit that you get when you successfully change something or you see some kind of result. And if life was perfect now, well, we wouldn't like that because then there'd be nothing to do. That is how the mind tricks us to never get off this hamster wheel. We don't realize that we like the problems. We like the struggles. We don't want to get rid of them unconsciously. Even if on the surface we're like, no, please, no more. We have to realize that the story we tell ourselves will be the story that we live. And the stories that come into conflict with our story, they will not vibe. Someone's going to get screwed. For example, just a simple example, if you tell yourself that, well, life sucks and I'm always struggling, that's your story, well then any idea or any story of life being easy and simple and, flowing, it's not going to resonate with you because that's not the story you're entertaining. And your ego has a vested interest in keeping this story alive, not the other one, not the new one. Because the ego likes it when you struggle. The ego likes it when you suffer. Because it justifies its existence. If I'm suffering, I feel like, yes, I have been wronged. Me. Or if I've done something great, I have done something great. But a lot of the times it's negative. Like, I'm a victim. And every time you get into a situation that reaffirms you're a victim, the ego's like, yes, I love this. Whereas you're just along for the ride. As one of those Greek philosophers once said, before you try to help someone, ask them if they're willing to give up what has caused them poison. Not exactly, okay? Meaning, if you have Stockholm Syndrome, until you get rid of that, you cannot be helped. What does this mean? It means that at some point, you have to look at that story that you're telling yourself and make a decision, my friend. And ask yourself, do I want to keep living this way any longer? Because you can keep this up forever. There's no reason it would end. If you, whoever you are, whatever you are, inside this human meat suit, there's something about you that can change. That can look at things differently. That can begin questioning the nature of their reality. But unless you bring forth that part of you, it's not going to happen. Just the automatic default programming is going to run and run and run, and you'll just be along for the ride. When it really comes down to it, life is set up very simply. There's you and there's your experiences. Here you are, little circle ball thing, and here are your experiences. Life is all about how you deal with your experiences. If you align yourself with the divine image, your experiences become divine, and if you align yourself with the not divine image, your experiences become poopy. Like if you do all the things that homeless people do, and then you end up being homeless, well, that is your experience. So it's whatever you align yourself with. For example, there are certain attitudes, mindsets, actions that will lead you to certain results. And that can be proven and reliable. So whatever your current experiences are, they're nothing more than a reflection of you. Your past thoughts, your past actions, your past feelings, and most importantly, your identity of who you believe you are. Who you are is everything. And that determines the quality of your life. Because who you are determines what you focus on. And energy is the force of creation, and our mind is a tool that directs the flow of energy. So where attention goes, energy flows. What you focus on, you create. And you focus on what is relevant to your identity. And your identity has all of these stories surrounding it. You see, I don't even want you looking at your experiences and saying there's something wrong. That there's something that needs to be changed. I got to change this story. I got to change who I am. I got to change everything. Everything must be changed. But the fact is, change is already happening automatically. You don't need to do anything to change. Change is the default. The problem is we do not allow ourselves to be changed. But we try to force change upon ourselves, upon life, upon others. And that's where all the problem is. I could tell you all day, hey, change your thoughts, change your life, change the stories, and your life can change. But have you ever thought of just not judging life in the first place? And saying, oh, well, what if nothing needs to be changed? And I'm not saying if you're in a bad spot, pretend that it's good. I'm saying, what if you learned how to be in that bad spot without resisting it? What if you allowed yourself to engage dealing with some problem or some struggle or some self-destructive behavior without also judging it as wrong? What if there was no psychological drama going on about what you're experiencing? And even if there is a psychological drama, doesn't mean you have to be identified with it. Meaning, there are experiences happening. That is all. But we judge and label the experiences. So we give them specific meaning. When in truth, it's all just changing experiences. Now there's a big difference between the changing experience of being murdered and the changing experiences of being in heaven. Big difference. But they're both united. They're both the same thing. Heaven and hell are both changing experiences. Don't tell the religious people that. You see, the news story that I think is better than most of our poopy stories, at least this is what helped me. And that is realizing that the current situation, the current circumstance, the current experience, whatever it is, even though it seems bad on the surface, there is a part of you that can rest and relax in the presence of this negativity, in the presence of this difficulty. There is a part of you that is completely free already, that does not need change, that does not need all the money in the world or the relationships or whatever. It doesn't need anything. We want to connect with that part of ourselves, not the part of ourselves always trying to change. Because the fact is that once you tap into that deeper part of yourself, it doesn't matter what happens anymore. My words, they have betrayed me for the last time. Sorry. I must cut out my own tongue. We're going Old Testament today. Let us ponder. The point is, if we can identify with the part of ourselves that is unchanging, that is free, then we can allow ourselves to be shaped into a masterpiece by life. We can effortlessly, with grace, flow through the difficult times that we go through. And it doesn't have to be so ugly. It doesn't have to be so bad. Because God does not give you any burden that is designed to break you. But God doesn't say if we put extra burdens upon ourselves that we will survive. And that is the problem. We place extra burdens upon ourselves by judging ourselves and judging life. And that is where all the suffering is. But once you tap into the free aspect of yourself, it's like if you're bitten by a snake. You're bitten by a snake that has no venom. The venomous things have been taken out, so it doesn't kill you. Doesn't mean the snake bite won't still hurt. It means it's not going to kill you. And that's what life is like after enlightenment or awakening. However you want to look at it. There's still the pain of being in a body, of being in form, but that venom has been taken out. So it doesn't matter what you go through anymore. Even if a snake bites you, it's bearable, it's tolerable. It's not absolute hell and misery. The hell and misery we inflict upon ourselves, the pain and the suffering of being in a body is inevitable. Or should I say, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. You can also sign up for monthly increments of suffering. Payment plans. Take your suffering in chunks in the future. Every month I will come to collect, and I will bring the bee with me, just in case. And you see what will happen. Once you learn to accept the now, right now, the present moment, when you learn to accept the present moment as it is, well, first of all, you stop resisting life because acceptance is the opposite of resistance. And resistance to life is what creates suffering. So the more you can accept life as it is right now, the less you will suffer. And the more you resist life as it is, the more you will suffer. It's just how it goes. And think about it. The more we want to change, the more we're in resistance to life. We're telling ourselves, no, life is not happening the way I want it to right now. And because those emotions are so powerful, the frustration, the irritation, the resentment, the anger, it keeps us stuck in that drama, in that story. But it's just feelings and it's just thoughts. Both are changing experiences. We are the ones caught in the drama. But again, you have a part of yourself that is free now. That does not need to change, that does not need to become better, because the innermost core of your being is already perfect. So it's great to improve and that jazz, but what's more important is to connect to the part of yourself that is already perfect, that doesn't need improvement, that doesn't need life to change, that already perceives the perfection of everything. And it is there, waiting for your discovery. Nowadays, when I go through experiences, I'm aware of all the changing thoughts and all the changing reactions to things. I'm aware of the story going on. I'm aware of the experiences, but there is no attachment. Even if I feel a certain way, once you become aware of your true self, it's not like you can just forget on accident one day. It's like forgetting your name. You're never going to forget it. So too, all of these experiences going on, all of the things that are relevant to this personal identity, this character, this form that everyone knows as me. All of that is going on, but there is no attachment, which means there is only freedom. The whole drama, the whole play can go on as normal, except for now I'm the one in the theater watching the play. Whereas before, and with most people, we really believe we are the characters on this play of life. Like if you're acting out Shakespeare, like Othello or something, you actually believe you are Othello. Fellow Othello. You're wearing this mask and you're like, yes, this is who I am. I'm playing this game. I'm playing Othello. But you got to remember that you're not the mask, that you're not the character. You take a step back. You realize, oh, I'm the actor. You take another step back, and you realize, oh, I'm actually watching in the audience. In Eastern philosophy, it goes like this. Let me see if I can get this right. Yes, here we are. It's the best as I can describe it so far. So first you have the Jivan. This is the individual, unique being that we are. The Jivan could be you, it could be a cat, it could be a dog or a cow. It's the individual living being in the unique conditioned form. That is like the actor with the mask. Then you have the Atman. This is the self. You can call it Christ consciousness. You can call it the soul. This is like realizing that you are the character. Or not the character, the actor. You are not the character, you are the actor. So you are not this little human monkey. You are divine soul. But then you go even a further step. And then at the end, should have made more room. Darn it. And then you have at the center Brahman, which is God in the ultimate form. So you have God in the ultimate, the infinite ocean of divine ecstasy. And then you have the Atman, which is, okay, think about it like this, right? Brahman is the ocean. I take a cup, scoop up some ocean water. That ocean water in the cup is Atman, the soul. God in this container. Brahman is God in the containerlessness. And then Jivan is like the cup, the unique form in which the Atman plays. But at the end of the day, it's all the same one thing. It's just different condensed forms. So the Jivan is the most condensed form. Atman is pure, unconditioned consciousness. Brahman is the same thing, it's just all of it, instead of just a little piece of it. The more we identify with the unique form, the more relevant everything that happens to us will be. So the more we will be stuck in these stories, these judgments, these analyses about life and our experiences. But once you tap into your true nature, well then you're existing as the part of you that does not identify with any of its experiences. You identify with the one listening, not with the voice inside your head. So the Jivan is the voice inside your head that you think is you, going on all the time, but the Atman is the one who is listening the whole time. Or you could say the Jivan is the one engaging in all the experiences, going through them. The Atman is the witness of them. So instead of improving your unique form and trying to make things better, trying to be a better version of you as the ego, what you want to do is you want to tap into the perfection in you already. And then what will happen is that you don't have to muck about trying to improve your life anymore. Life improves automatically by default, which is a great thing because now you get to, have a good life without all of that extra struggle, all of that extra forcing things to be the way I want them to be. It happens automatically because you allow harmony to enter into your life, because the Atman, the soul, is the source of harmony and balance and perfection in you. And the more you can allow that to flow through you, the more that will influence your external circumstances. But the more you're cut off from your true nature by identification with this, but the more you're cut off from your true nature by identifying with the unique form, the more you struggle. Because you're living as a limited state of consciousness, trying to make order out of the infinite chaos. And you can have some success, but you will never have the success as aligning yourself with the total ultimate. Because only the infinite divine order within you can manage the infinite divine chaos outside of you. So we focus so much on trying to fix our lives and trying to change our lives when there's already perfection here, now. Right here, right now. There doesn't need to be any improvements. There doesn't need to be any tomorrow. There doesn't need to be any, until I get this promotion. Or anything. We suffer because we are ignorant of our true nature. That is all. Because when we live from this state, we have the whole burdens of the world on our shoulders, weighing us down. All of these psychological burdens that we place upon ourselves. Now, when I say place upon ourselves, what I really mean is we just do it on accident. Like, for example, anyone who has children, they're going to have a strong identity about being a parent. And you can't really do anything about that. Except seek freedom, seek awakening. Because you as a parent as this is going to make a lot of mistakes, create a lot of problems. But you as a parent like this is divine. So the parent will say, well, no, I can't be non-attached to my children. They're mine. So we're really, really identified with the story we're telling ourselves. But think about it. Can you do your job better with a big ball and chain around your ankles? Or can you do your job better free, with wings perhaps? You can fly away, do what you need to do. It's the difference between living from this or living from this. I never said it was easy to let go of these stories. In fact, you don't really need to do anything. You just need to recognize what you are. You just need to recognize the perfection already in yourself. Because the way that our life is, it's like we have forgotten who we are. We've forgotten our true nature. And we have taken on this false identity, this mask. So do you need to spend all this time fighting with the mask and trying to overcome the mask? Trying to change? No, you just need to take the mask off. You just need to realize that you're not the mask. So this process doesn't require all of these years of spiritual practices and stuff like that. It just requires recognition. And it requires a desire to seek the truth or seek freedom. Because so long as the little Jivan is busy mucking about in its world, it's gonna be too busy to concern itself with freedom. Because there's too many distractions, too much changing experiences to deal with. And the key to this experience is you practice observing the phenomenon of your experiences. Meaning, thoughts come and you just look at them. You just observe them. And if you find yourself getting caught in your thoughts, you observe that too. Everything that you observe is a changing experiences. The only thing is that we are getting pulled into our changing experiences because of our beliefs and our identification. So what you do is like you see all of your thoughts. The thoughts come and go like clouds passing through the sky. And you realize that, oh, wait a minute. I cannot be my thoughts because I am the one observing them. So anytime you observe something, you automatically create separation from it. From the thing that you observe. Because if you observe something, it means that there is you and there is something you are observing. So just by looking alone, you stop identifying with your thoughts because you see firsthand, not philosophically or intellectually, you see with your own two eyeballs that you are not your thoughts. And then you try to find this person you believe yourself to be. Where am I as a man? Where am I as a woman? Close your eyes. Don't move your hands. You can't find it. Something as simple as gender, we have lived our whole lives believing with 100% certainty. And this is the crazy thing about this, is that it's so close to our face. It's so right there that we never even think about looking at it. And then also, the illusion that we're in seems so real that we have never any inclination to question it. Because if I look at myself and I say I am a man, why would I ever assume differently? My eyes are telling me that. That's the evidence that is before me. Yes? Well, no. Being a man is just another changing experience. It's just I'm judging and labeling myself as that. And I identify with that, and therefore my identification with that is going to come along with all of these different stories about me being a man. But in 90 seconds, if I close my eyes and I try to find myself as a man, stop speaking, it just doesn't exist. It's just not real. The identification as a man is a construct of memory and sense data. So only when I open my eyes, or I hear my voice, or look in the mirror, am I reminded, oh yes, I'm a man, all good. I was worried there for a moment. But there is a part of you that is genderless. There's a part of you that has nothing to do with this human form at all. You're not even human. Well, because if you close your eyes and try to find yourself as human, don't open them, don't move your hands, because that's giving you sense data. When you have no sense data, what are you? In deep sleep, what are you? Are you a human in deep sleep? As it said, even a mother who cares so much for her child in deep sleep completely forgets about it, as if it never existed at all. Completely forgets about her identity as a mother. Because in deep sleep, there is no sense data to remind you of what you are, or of what you think you are. So it's this game of continuously breaking free from the illusion, from identification with form, and continuously seeking the deeper recognition of what you truly are until you find it. And once you find it, well, that is the truth that sets you free. Because it's just not possible to identify with your personal identity anymore. Because it's just not you. And you don't need to pretend that it's not you. You just see that it's not. And you don't need to pretend that you are the divine, because that's just what you see. But until you actually see it, it's just going to be psychological stuff. Not going to really mean all that much. So you have to be a seeker before you can be a finder. And once you find her, the seeker dies. Then you're just you. You're just you. You're not you as a man or a woman. You're not you as a person. You're not you as your job. You're not you as anything. You're just you. And that is why I say at the end of every video, just be. Because when you just are, you are most aligned with your divine nature. But the moment you start adding layers on top of that, the moment you get caught up in all of this worldly drama, the world of 10,000 things. So the idea is you become empty, and you become empty. You stop feeding all of this mind stuff that is only relevant to the person. And once you recognize that you're not the person, all of those stories begin falling away. They just begin erasing. Because you were feeding it the whole time. You were the only one keeping that story alive. You're keeping your personal identity alive by feeding it these stories, by feeding it your attention, feeding it your energy. But once you realize that you are not the person, you can't continue to feed it all that much until you stop feeding it at all. Then all of the personal identity begins fading away, and what is left is the true and divine nature of what you are. You continue to allow harmony to enter into your life, more balance, more harmony, more perfection, more love, more peace, more joy and abundance, effortlessly. Who wouldn't take that deal? That the only thing that you have to give up is your own made-up identity of who you are. But for most people, the price is too high. But if you knew the reward, you would be willing at least to embark on that journey. Doesn't mean you got to be perfect. Doesn't mean you have to, renounce the world overnight. It just means that you take the first step. It just means that you walk the path. And you're fed up with struggling all the time. You're fed up of trying to fight life. Tired of never catching a break. And once you get fed up, well, now you are ready for the truth. Because until you're fed up, you're still going to be mucking about in the world. Until you finally had enough. So you, whoever you are, have to make the choice to find freedom, to find that relief. And if you can have that strong desire for God, for freedom, to reconnect with life, the process becomes automatic. You don't got to worry about anything else. You don't got to worry about thousands of years of spiritual practices. You just have to let life do its thing. You learn to just be in the present moment and allow life to unfold as it does, as if you are in the audience watching a play. You're watching your life as a movie unfold. And with that, there is a sense of freedom. Because if you believe that you're the character, everything that happens to the character in this movie, you're going to freak out about, whether it's good or bad. But if you realize that you're in the audience, you can cry, you can be angry, you can have all of your emotions, but you know that there is freedom from you and what is happening. You can enjoy life how it was meant to be enjoyed. Free, not with a big ball and chain. The fear of life, of death, begins to fade away. So now you're no longer limited by these beliefs and these stories and these thoughts. You can actually live your life and do anything you want. Live your highest purpose, because now there's nothing stopping you. Whereas before, if everyone lived their highest potential and lived their highest dreams, this would be a much different world. But the fact is that 90% of people don't. And 90% of people don't because they settle for less. Because their survival instincts are more powerful than any kind of dream or vision. So they settle for survival. A lukewarm life. But once you're free, there's no reason to settle anymore. That doesn't make any sense. You become royalty. Therefore, you are not concerned with the crumbs of the peasants. Doesn't mean your beggar nature doesn't come along and try to squeeze your butt. But it means that you don't accept anything less than the best. Because you're already immersed in the kingdom of abundance. You're already tapping into the kingdom of God. So anything less is just a lesser pleasure. And it doesn't make any sense to keep doing it. It's like I heard a great example one time. If there was a pig, and you gave the pig 2 meals, a big bucket of slop, and a 5-star meal, the pig is going to go eat the slop. Yes, I love slop. But then you turn the pig into a man, and he looks at himself in disgust. Oh, what have I done? Then he starts eating the 5-star meal. And that's the same thing with us. We have a monkey nature that wants to eat the slop. But you have to tap into your divine nature, your royal nature, so that you can start only eating the 5-star meals and stop eating the slop. And it's just a battle every day between your beggar consciousness and your royal consciousness. And they're at war with each other. The homeless people versus the kings and the queens. All you gotta do is stop feeding the beggar, start feeding the royalty. Stop settling for your mind stimulation and start immersing yourself in the presence of God. Again, not easy, lifelong journey. It may take years. But once you have really tasted the divine, it doesn't matter. Because you realize that there are no pleasures of this world that can fully satisfy you. Doesn't mean you don't go out and have fun in the world. It means you seek first the kingdom of God. And then everything else will be added on to you. Because once you have tapped into the perfection within yourself, you allow the perfection to flow into your life. That is why everything is given to you. But until you have tapped into the truth and the perfection in you, you will always be mucking about in limitation. Imagine a video game. Most people think they're the character in the game, so they are limited by the confines of the structure or the matrix or the video game. And most people's solution is, well, let me become a better character in the game. Let me get more clothes, let me get more money, more stuff. But at the end of the day, they're always limited to the box. They're always limited to the game. You turn off the game, boop, done, forever. But once you realize that you are the one behind the screen with the controller in your hands, it's a much different experience. Because you're no longer afraid of dying in the game. You're no longer afraid of losing things in the game. You can lose, you can gain. It doesn't matter to you. You're just having fun. You're just enjoying the experience. But so long as you believe yourself to be the character in the game, you have a vested interest in avoiding pain and losing. And you have a strong interest in getting things. I want things. I want more. So that's why it's a never-ending struggle. You don't have what you want, so you got to go get what you want. And maybe you have what you don't want, so you got to work on getting rid of that. But if you see your true position, you can work on your life without all of these crazy attachments, without all of this story nonsense going on. It's the difference between being stuck under a great storm and getting wet and it's very windy versus flying above that storm and seeing it from 30,000 feet. It's not the same storm. Two completely different definitions of the same thing. Therefore, two completely different experiences. And this is life. When the storms of life come, you can either be under it and get all wet, or you could fly above it. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Live from a place of freedom. Because this is how you will actualize your highest potential. The kingdom of abundance, the kingdom of God, is already freely given to you. But we have to be aware of the things that are keeping us from that. Which is all of the stories and mind stuff surrounding our unique personal identity. Like imagine peaceful, calm water. But when something comes in the water and starts flapping about like a flappy fish, it disturbs the water, there's chaos, no more peace. And that is our mind. When the waters of your mind are empty, there is stillness, there is clarity, there is peace. But when your mind is being disturbed by all of these stories, by all of these stimuli, then you are made unaware of the peace that is always present. It becomes hidden by the ripples. This is why the whole purpose of yoga, as Patanjali said, is to get rid of the mind stuff keeping you from the recognition of your true divine nature. It's like if you imagine two mirrors, one mirror is like Jesus, another mirror is like everyone else. Now, because we have all of this earthly conditioning, all of this personal identity, it's like the mirror is covered up with dirt and mud. So when we look in the mirror, we say, oh yeah, that's me, not realizing that it's a completely distorted version of who you think you are, because it's covered up with all of this conditioning. But someone like Jesus has polished his mirror, and therefore there is no conditioning. There is only the pure light reflecting back. So that is what we are. We are light, contorted and knotted up because of this earthly conditioning, our karmic attachments. And our purpose in this life is to become free from these karmic attachments by going through the exact experiences that we need in order for our highest spiritual growth. And through going through those experiences, we burn off those attachments until eventually we are just purely our true self. No imperfections, spotless. We are the incarnation of the divine itself. Now, however long it takes to get there doesn't matter. Everyone's journey is unique. But the point is, we have to realize that we are not seeing ourselves clearly. And if we want to see ourselves clearly, we have to start polishing that mirror. Realizing all the things that are keeping us stuck in ignorance, creating suffering in our life. And through that awareness alone, you begin to just drop it. Because if you were putting your hand on a hot stove, if you were aware of what you were doing, you wouldn't do it. But we create all kinds of suffering for ourselves simply because we are in ignorance. We're not aware of what we're doing. So you just become more and more aware. And it becomes effortless to just drop all the things that don't serve you. Until eventually, you're just one with yourself. And you don't even need to polish the mirror to recognize your true self. Polishing the mirror is what happens when you recognize your true self. When you see that you are the light and not the person. After awakening, polishing the mirror is what happens automatically. When you stop feeding the mind stuff by identifying with your ego, by getting caught in the personal drama, you just stop feeding it, cleanses itself. Much of this is an automatic process, but our job is to begin the process in the first place. To seek something greater, to not settle for less, for scraps, for crumbs. Do not be crumbs. Do not be crummy, I should say. Find your royal nature, and life will be better. Recognize the divine that you already are, that you don't need to become anything, that you don't need to change anything. You just need to stop resisting. Like the police, stop resisting and accept life. And the more you can accept life, the more you naturally enter into identification with your divine nature. Because the nature of the person is to resist, but the nature of God is to accept. And the more you can accept life as it is, the more you see with your own eyes the perfection behind it all. And when you enter into this state, life is far better, much more worth living, because now you're living life how it was meant to be experienced, from a place of freedom. I am Ray. Visit my cool stove. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.